Damn.
All right. And we here. Roberto.
And we here. Yo, yo, yo. This is your boy Bronze, and this is the Niners All Day Show. I got my boy Trey with me. What up, Trey?
Man, what's going on, my guy? What's going on, man?
What's good? It's good, man. There's a lot of stuff to cover today, so we'll try to get right at it. But first, just make sure, just wanted to say, follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Niners All Day. We appreciate it if you, hit that subscribe, turn on that notification. Shout out to all the subs already that's down with us.
Yes, sir.
Leave a comment if, like, dislike, agree, disagree. It doesn't matter. We love the engagement. We love talking to our, to all the fans, all the faithfuls and stuff. So that being said, man, we got a special guest today. We got Grant Cohn back again.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
What's going on?
Oh, man.
Thanks for joining.
Grant
Absolutely.
Cohn.
Squeezing in a little work on a Saturday afternoon. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
There is a lot to cover. Oh
All of
my
a
God.
sudden, a week ago, I was like dying of topics. I couldn't think of anything to write. Now it's like broken wrist, broken foot, COVID-19. Oh my God, Jamal Adams and Antonio Brown. But yeah, let's talk about it.
Oh man. Yeah, let's go. So where are we gonna start? I wanted to say, like, on Monday, I was excited. I saw the news. Jimmy G brought the squad. Met up in Tennessee, and now seeing the pictures of everybody practicing. I was like, yeah, this is exciting. I'm excited. And then Kyle Shanahan got the extension, right?
Everything fell apart.
So yeah, everything fell
all
apart.
Kyle's
Like,
fault.
oh
Now
my
blame
God,
Kyle.
this week is awesome.
It's funny.
Yo, this week.
He jinxed it. Kyle jinxed it. Oh man.
Well, should we talk about that Camp Nashville real quick? Let's talk about that Nashville.
Yes.
Because when it happened,
Okay,
when the
yes.
news broke yesterday about COVID-19, I'm thinking, oh my God, what a disaster. Like, this is the worst case scenario. But the more I thought about it, I think there's another viewpoint you could take. And I don't know if it's the right one, but let me throw it out there and tell me what you guys think. You could argue that it's inevitable that these players are going to get COVID-19 in a contact sport.
Right.
And if they have to get it, better to get it in June, where you have plenty of time to recover, build up antibodies, and hopefully it won't be an issue when the regular season comes around. That might be a cynical and unrealistic way to look at it, but that might be how the players look at it.
Right. And the thing about viruses, man, the only way to get through a virus is to literally get through it. You catch it, you build an immune to it, and then you move on.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about it, but I don't, because they've been flagging a lot of videos where you talk about the virus. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But all I know is that if you build an immune system to this virus, you know what I'm saying, you're better off. And the good thing is, a lot of people who have caught it, especially the athletes, they have had mild to no symptoms.
And what I'm saying is, theoretically, half of the Niners offense just could have gotten it this week.
Right.
And so theoretically, if they all survive it, which they should, and build up immune system, it's something that a big part of the team won't have to worry about during the season. Maybe that's a good thing, but that's a lot of assumptions.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, there's only two guys that went to the hospital, right? It's Richie James and Deebo Samuel.
And it had nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah. Right. And anytime you go to the hospital now, they're automatically testing people. So we could guess that, the person who tested positive was Deebo or Richie. We don't know exactly which one.
Well, Richie, one more thing. Richie was in Florida, so it might have been Deebo.
Might have been him.
It might have been Deebo.
Yeah.
Good point. Really good point.
That's wow. We just solved.
We just figured it out. Yeah, we just did
live. Oh man, the thing I'm worried about is, these are athletes. Yeah, they can fight it, right? But I'm afraid for the NFL, like, that this might spook them. And I mean, it's not just only the 49ers, but it's the rest of the team. Like, what are they going to do with, with this type of situation when, like, one player, one team, multiple teams,
Good.
I mean, what does it mean for training camp? What does it mean for training camp?
This is what I can say.
Right.
The NFL is already missing out on the fans being at the games, which is going to be like $2 or $3 billion. Yeah. The NFL is not going to go without a season. There will be an NFL season. They've already missed a lot of money right now.
Agree. And I think a lot of these football players, unlike basketball players, are willing to put up with the risk because there's risk to playing football. Really, COVID-19 is down the list of things you got to worry about when you play football, right?
Right.
It really is, as opposed to basketball.
Right.
Exactly.
So these guys are built to take the risk, to take risks anyway. So I think they'll all want to play. And the fact that a bunch of guys maybe potentially got COVID-19 in the Niners right now, they probably all feel like we'll be fine and we'll get over it.
Right. Yeah, man. So let's go into Kyle Shanahan's new contract, man.
Okay.
For Kyle Shanahan, he signed a 6-year contract, making him in the top 5, highest paid coaches in the NFL. I think that it was coming anyways. There's no reason to wait until the contract expires and then have to rework it. Go ahead and get it done and get it out of the way. I mean, how do you feel about him becoming the, one of the top 5 most highest paid coaches in the NFL right now?
I mean, I can understand why he wanted the money, and I respect that he got it. Good for Kyle. I'm not knocking him. I would have done the same thing in his situation. I would have went to Jed and say, I deserve more. I deserve to be top 5. And I understand why Jed gave it to him, because Jed has hired some really bad coaches. And if he runs off Kyle after running off Jim, who knows what could happen to the franchise. That being said, I don't think other owners necessarily would have done it, because as impressive as Kyle Shanahan has been, he's 23 and 25. And there's mitigating circumstances. And I'm not saying he's not good, but I usually in the past, you had to have some more accomplishments on your resume than that to get a big time extension. I'm not saying fire him. I'm just saying to vault up again, to get your second deal and to be above guys like Doug Peterson, people who've won the Super Bowl. I would expect you to at least have a record like McVay, who's never had a losing season. I still think Shanahan's better than him. I'm just surprised that he could parlay a 23 and 25 record into being set for life. His children are set for life. His children's children are set for life.
Okay. I want to ask you just one question.
Mm-hmm.
How many head coaches would come to a team that is totally demolished, right? And within 3 years, win an NFC championship and then go to the Super Bowl in the first 3 years? How many?
Not many. And I'm not knocking him. All I'm saying is making him wait another year for an extension wouldn't be a punishment, and it wouldn't be a knock. It'd be like, we gave you a 6-year deal. You're 23 and 25 and you've done great things, but let's just wait one more year. One more. But I think from Jed York's perspective, that's a dangerous thing to do. I mean, he did that basically with Harbaugh and the relationship never recovered. If he does that with Kyle, Kyle could say, like, you know what, man, you don't appreciate what I've done. You think you're the star here. I'm just going to bide my time and go back to Atlanta or somewhere else, because a lot of people would like me. And I think Jed's really afraid of that happening.
Yeah. I mean,
wasn't it
John Lynch? I mean, didn't Harbaugh have a problem with more of a problem with Trent Baalke than the ownership?
Well, what happened was after the Super Bowl in 2012, that was Harbaugh's second year. He was 24-7-1 and lost in a Super Bowl. And he went to Jed and said, "Come on, man, I'm making $5 million a year. I'm just as good as Pete Carroll and John Harbaugh, my brother. Like, pay me." And Jed was like, "Dude, you haven't accomplished enough yet. You didn't win the Super Bowl. We don't hang NFC Championship banners." So Jed has changed a lot since then. And he's changed because he realizes what a disgruntled head coach can do in the organization. He thought he had leverage and power over Harbaugh. And Harbaugh really showed, well, he has leverage and power too, and he can tear everything down. And I don't think Jed wants to risk it with Kyle like that. Right.
And I've never seen in one off season where you have like 4 guys out of nowhere just retired. I mean, it was back to back to back to back. It was the Cowboy, Justice Smith, he retired. Then Patrick Willis. Then Anthony.
Why do you think they retired?
Because Harbaugh was leaving.
Exactly. They weren't going to go through the grueling year of football to win 5 games for Jim Tomsula. No.
That wasn't going to happen. Yeah. Nope. All right. So the next question, man, is will John Lynch follow up with a contract extension? Because I've seen a lot of bull crap out there saying, Adam Peters is the next GM, or, we can bring somebody in.
That's what I said.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like John Lynch has done a hell of a job.
Me too. I feel like it's been a partnership between him and Kyle Shanahan. Here's the way I look at it. Matt Mayoko, in his initial report, you can read it, when he said that Kyle Shanahan got his extension. He says he doesn't cite a source or quote anyone, but he says it's believed that the 49ers are working on Kyle Shanahan's extension too. So I trust Matt Mayoko. I don't know who he heard that from. Maybe Jed, maybe the PR staff. Right. All I'm wondering is, Why not announce them at the same time? Why make us even wonder? Why make us even wonder? It's so weird. In 2017, the Chiefs extended Andy Reid's contract and fired John Dorsey on the same day. They made it real clear on that day. We like Reid better than Dorsey. Dorsey's out. In 2018, the Eagles extended Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman on the same day and said, we like the partnership. The Niners are kind of in between. They extended Shanahan and they haven't said a word about Lynch. And because they haven't made up, maybe they've made up their mind, but because they haven't told us what they're doing with Lynch, they can't make a comment about Kyle. I don't know if you noticed that, but they gave a press release with no statement, which is so irregular. I mean, extending your head coach is a great day for your organization. You're telling everyone, we found our guy, we have stability, we're going to be a good team for a long time. The general manager and the owner should be in that press release saying, we're so proud. This is the best day. And this is why we gave it to Kyle, because he's great for these 5 reasons. But they understand anything they say right now about Kyle, people would read into it like, well, what does that mean about John?
Exactly.
Because you didn't, so they can't say anything about John. So I'm guessing they're going to give John an extension or a promotion. But my question is, what are you waiting for? This should have happened on the same day as Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're working on John Lynch's right now. I put it like this. I feel like they got Kyle's done and then they started working on John, and then boom, we have an injury and then another injury, and then Jamal Adams becomes available for trade, and then John is like, hey, I got shit to do right now. Just work on the extension. I'm not tripping about it. You know what I'm saying? Me and Kyle have a great relationship. This is where I want to be. You know, I got some issues to figure out. And that's what I think is going. That's what I think continues to go on.
I have one more theory. I have one more theory. I see what JD's saying. Lynch will be the team president and Peters promoted to GM to retain him. And it does seem like everyone respects Peters. Promoting Lynch to team president would mean he'd probably need a raise. But the thing that I'm saying, I was on a conference call with Kyle Shanahan 3 weeks ago, and it was about race relations in America.
Right.
And Kyle was really pontificating about how the country needs to change and yada, yada, yada. And someone said, okay, Kyle, like, what do you think the NFL can do to do their part? And he was real specific. He said, well, there needs to be more black head coaches and general managers, period. So Kyle's not going to fire himself and promote a black head coach, but what he can do is get John Lynch out of the way, promoted, whatever, and promote Martin Mayhew. So I wouldn't necessarily assume that it's Peters who's going to be put in that spot. It might be Mayhew. Mayhew has been a general manager. He knows what he's doing. He's good. Mm-hmm. He has a resume. Could be Mayhew.
Okay. All right.
That's a good take. It's a good take. Yeah.
Well, all right. We'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it.
No. So what do you say? You have the last word on this topic, man.
Does Martin Mayhew or Doug Peters know how to pick talent?
Adam Peters.
Adam Peters. Yeah. Do they both know how to pick talent like John Lynch?
Well, let me tell you this. I was talking to an agent recently, and the agent felt he could be wrong. He's not in the organization, but he felt that Peters is the superstar in that front office. He's the guy that teams are going to want, and he's the guy the Niners need to keep. And what he said was, look, Peters is a talent evaluator. Lynch has other qualities, but he's not really a talent evaluator. And the way you can see it, has he even added a safety to this roster who's good? That's his position.
Oh, we don't need a safety.
I'm just saying, that's his position. I think the perception around the league is that Lynch does a lot of things for the 49ers, but actually evaluating talent might be down the list.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so we do agree with this.
I think so too.
Jimmy Ward is a top 5 safety in the league right now.
I don't know if he's top 5 safety. He's a good safety. Yeah. He's a versatile safety. He breaks bones, but he's very versatile. You can play him in the slot. You can play him at strong. You play him at free. He doesn't get you a lot of picks and fumbles, but he's super solid. He's real solid.
Name the 4 that's above him.
I don't know, man. Jamal Adams, Minka Fitzpatrick. I don't know. I mean, we could do it.
And then you got the kid with the Chargers. He's pretty good.
Derwin, yep.
Derwin James. But otherwise than that, like, who else? You know what I'm saying? Like, Earl Thomas has obviously lost a step. Like, we abused him last year. Even though we lost that game to the Ravens, Earl got abused all fucking game. Like, we abused Earl Thomas. That's not the Earl Thomas I'm used to seeing. He's okay. You know what I'm saying? So
I
can't really name much guy. You know,
it was raining.
Jimmy.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't mean to knock Jimmy. I'm just trying to say that certain people in the league question whether John Lynch is really picking the players, and they say like, "Well, look, he's a safety. The safeties they have, they inherited from Balky. I think a lot of people really feel that Peters is the guy who finds these undrafted guys, these guys late in the draft. Maybe they're wrong.
I truly believe that.
But I think there's probably something to it because I've heard it from a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what you're
Adam
saying?
Peters, he picked Von Miller, and
So basically, what you guys are saying is this might be more of a play for us to keep Adam Peters more than.
That's what JD said. I actually think it's a play to elevate Martin Mayhew because I think the person who's really picking, I mean, Peters does homework. He does legwork. He does research. But the people who make the executive decisions are Kyle and his dad, Kyle and Mike. So to me, I think, is Peters necessary? Maybe. Final decision is on Kyle.
Right.
And I think the person he trusts the most is his dad, like in The Godfather. Okay. That's his wartime consigliere.
I see.
Dad, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, Mike's not making decisions, Kyle is, but that's who he trusts.
Yeah.
That's just the way I read it. So, like, is Adam Peters important? Yeah. But I think from the Shanahan's perspective, they pick the players anyway. It might be more important to elevate Martin Mayhew and make the organization look better. It's something he said that was important for the league to do, and he might do it.
But how would John feel about that?
How do you think John feels about not getting an extension the same day Kyle did? I'd be at the very minimum confused, and at the most angry. Really, what's going on there? Unless there's something I don't understand. It seemed it would be so easy to knock them off on the same day. They came in together, do it on the same day. But maybe they'll announce an extension for him on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Monday.
that's maybe it's coming. Everybody off.
Yeah, I think it's coming, bro.
Maybe it's coming.
All right.
I hope it is because he deserves it. Let's say that. Let's be clear.
I don't think it's coming.
He definitely deserves it.
He deserves it, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen till after the season. After the season.
Interesting. Why?
He's gonna evaluate.
I don't disagree, but why?
Just gonna see how the season goes.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the Niners
I just feel like
made it clear.
There's no rush. There's no rush for. Right.
I think they're putting most of the credit on Kyle. Yeah. And they're saying, we like John, but we could still see a little bit more. Whereas with Kyle, we've seen enough. He's great. He is a top 5 head coach in the league right now. John, he's doing really good for a guy who had no background at this and was a broadcaster just 3. I think it's kind of like that.
Yeah. All right.
But we'll see.
All right. So this next topic.
This is what last take real quick. General manager, John Lynch, the word general manager, he manages generally over, you know what I'm saying? He has his experts that he relies on, like Adam Peters and Mayhew. Like you said, those are the stars, I think.
Yes.
I think those are the one that's more valuable. Like, John Lynch is just the mouthpiece. And
the fact that his ego isn't too big is an asset because it's hard to find a general manager who is willing to take input. Right? Because general managers think they're the smartest people in the world. Trent Baalke did.
Facts.
Exactly.
Like Vic Fangio would tell him, Trent, do not draft Tank Carradine. He doesn't fit my defense. And Trent would be like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. I know better than you. I'm going to draft Tank Carradine, and he's going to work in your defense. It's like, what are you doing? So John Lynch doesn't have that kind of ego, and most GMs do. And the Niners need to not convince themselves that he has no purpose in the organization because he's been just as important as Kyle and these other people in his own way.
Instrumental. Yes.
Instrumental.
Yeah. Yeah. So this next topic, man, and we sorry to everybody out there. Like we're kind of all over the place, but it's a lot of shit that's happening right now. So
we're going down the line. We get the list.
Yeah. We have to get this out of the way, man. So this next topic is really a topic that was created by you.
I like to do that.
Why is Aaron Rodgers even a topic? Like,
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And his cap is fucking ridiculous.
It's huge, dude. It's so. And if the Packers were to trade him next year, they'd be taking on the biggest dead cap hit of all time by about $10 million.
Right.
But they just drafted a quarterback, and I think it's pretty clear that there's like a strange relationship up there between LaFleur and Rodgers.
LaFleur and Rodgers do not like each other.
They do not, and I think it's pretty clear that LaFleur is trying to push him out. And I don't think he cares if there's a dead cap hit. I don't. Right. I think he wants Jordan Love on the field as soon as possible.
Right.
I don't think they want him on the bench for 2 years. That's why I think Rodgers, the contract says he's not going to be available till 2022, but the situation in Green Bay says I think he'll be available in 2021. And then what gave me the idea was when I listened to Kyle Shanahan give the explanation for why he considered signing Brady. He admitted that he considered it and said, well, look, I mean, he's an all-time great quarterback. It's not often that all-time great quarterbacks are available. Anytime they are, I have to be interested and consider it until my starter is on that level. And Jimmy wants to be on that level, and we both think he can get there, but he's not there yet. And until he is, I have to keep looking, which is a fair answer. And Aaron Rodgers qualifies. I don't know which Hall of Fame quarterback other than Rodgers is going to be available in 2021. It might just be him. And if you look at what the Niners asked Jimmy Garoppolo to do, it's not that much. It's a lot of short passes, a lot of easy stuff. They don't really ask him to make pinpoint throws 30 yards down the field. They don't. Rodgers can do that stuff. But the difference between him and Jimmy is that Rodgers actually can make those pinpoint downfield throws. He would make the Niners offense, he would add a new dimension to it. I mean, that's actually an understatement. I don't know if it'll happen, but if you look at the contracts on the Niners side, he's not more expensive than Jimmy. It works for the Niners. I don't know if it'll work for Green Bay, but it seems like LaFleur's on the road to make a bad decision.
But isn't he owed like $33 million this year, bro? 30.
His cap is high, but the cash that they would give him is like 24.
I don't know. And then you got to look at this. Jimmy is like egoless, right? Jimmy just seems like that down-to-earth dude where you can go, you can have a few beers, and he's cool. Like Jimmy seems like the guy where I could come up to and say, "Hey, Jimmy, I know you're busy, but can we take a picture?" And Jimmy's gonna be cool with that, and he might even have a 2 or 3 minute conversation with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're absolutely right.
Rodgers seems like he's a total dickhead, bro. It seems like he is an asshole. It's either his way or no way. And one thing that
he's becoming a grumpy old man.
I agree.
And one thing I can't respect about LaFleur is he came in the first year and says, we're not going to be doing all this extra audibles and shit. Run my fucking offense. And that's what Kyle's going to say. Kyle's going to say the same thing. If you come to San Francisco, you run my fucking offense. Don't be audible. And this is not the Aaron Rodgers show. This is Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers show.
That's true.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is capable of that.
And hey, man, I had this debate with my dad a few days ago, and he said everything you said. He said everything you said, and there's a legit point there. All I would say is I don't blame Aaron Rodgers for not respecting Matt LaFleur. I don't think Matt LaFleur is good. I don't think he deserves that job. I think the only reason he's a head coach is because he knows Sean McVay, and I think Aaron Rodgers is within his rights to have no respect for that guy. Kyle Shanahan's different. Kyle Shanahan isn't a head coach because he knows Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan is legitimately one of the most creative offensive coaches in the league, and everyone knows it. Right. If Aaron Rodgers can't respect him, then he is everything you just said he is. He's everything you said. Right. But I'm not sure. I think that Aaron Rodgers might look at Kyle and see that's a guy I could coexist with and work with for 1 year, 2 years, the way John Elway and Mike Shanahan worked together for a long time. That's the way I see it. It seems pretty clear to me that Kyle has his eyes. He's looking. And he said, if there's an all-time great quarterback that's available, I'm interested. Well, Aaron Rodgers qualifies. And I think he would do a lot better in this offense than in LaFleur's.
Man, my bro, Brent dropping dimes today.
And let me tell you something, man. I know you just argued against it, but if the Niners found a way to bring in Aaron Rodgers, do you understand how excited you would be?
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I would be excited. Like
you'd be super excited.
He's from the area, you know what I'm saying? He's a Bay Area kid, just like Brady is. Like, I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't be excited, but would Aaron
just the idea is exciting. I mean, think about it.
I don't know. Would he mesh with the locker room?
I'll ride with
Jimmy G. I don't know.
Say that one more time, Grant. Would he
mesh with the locker room? I don't know. I don't think he's the kind of guy who would mesh with any locker room. He's an odd duck. But here's the thing.
Odd duck. Yeah.
Look, Jimmy Garoppolo has his opportunity to keep his job if he wins the MVP next season or just wins the Super Bowl, which he could. I mean, he's on a great team. They're not going to trade for Rodgers, right? So he can go prove it.
Right.
It's his second full season. If he takes a leap, if he improves, if he wins the big one, forget Aaron Rodgers. But if he backslides, if he plateaus, if they lose in the first round of the playoffs and he has a bad game, all of a sudden there's an option. And it's good to have options. It's good to have options.
And you know, one thing I liked is John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they truly showed the confidence that they have in Jimmy. They said, we have an opportunity to get one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Like, I hate Tom Brady, like literally. Like, Tom Brady could pass away, I wouldn't care. That's how much I dislike that guy. And I don't care for nobody. Okay,
fair enough.
But I just don't like Tom Brady. I felt like he got the most help from the league. When you look at the tuck rule,
it's true.
When you used to be able to hit quarterbacks in the knees. As soon as he tore his ACL, they created a rule for him. You can't hit quarterbacks at the knees. He played the ball.
That's true.
They tape practices for I don't know how many years. I feel like he's a system quarterback that the league loved, and they helped him in every single way that they could for him to be successful. He's not a Joe Montana. He's not a Joe Montana. People need to get that shit out of their head. Joe Montana was a pure leader, and he didn't have all of these extra rules and tape practices and all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But back to the subject is I was happy that they showed confidence in Jimmy. And I understand where you're coming from. This is the year where Jimmy has to come out and he has to pop his shit.
Yeah.
He has to pop his shit. Jimmy, we passed over Tom Brady for you. You have to come out. You have to be prosperous.
Not just Brady, man. Not just Brady. Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. There's been a lot of people. It's time. They're paying him $27 million, and he has excuses. He tore his ACL. It's time. Now is the time. He needs to play like a $27 million per year quarterback. And I'm not saying he won't.
Right.
But he needs to do it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
I hope he's not the one with the COVID.
He's not.
I don't want to speculate, but I think we figured it out. I think we figured it out. I think we figured it out. I don't want to say it again because we're going to get flagged on YouTube for spreading misinformation.
Okay, yeah.
I think we got it.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of those two guys, first it was Deebo.
Yeah.
Deebo has, I don't know, was it the Jones fracture?
Yes.
It was a Jones fracture, right?
Yes.
And you know what's good about it? No injury is good, but what's good about it is it's not the plantar foot. It's his
right. And there's no joint involved. It's just one of the long brittle things. There's like a little crack in it. That's what it is. I talked to it. So theoretically, it's like the best kind of break you can have in your foot.
Right.
But ask Trent Taylor about that.
Okay.
The thing is, the thing with the Niners is, for whatever reason, they had this new training staff last year, right? Yeah. And these players kept having setbacks, right? Jalen Hurd is going to be back in 3 weeks. No way, he's out the entire year. Trent Taylor, he's going to be back in 3 months. No way, he's out the entire year. It's like, what is going on there? Trent Taylor ended up having 5 surgeries to repair 1 Jones fracture. Yeah. So theoretically, Deebo should be fine and back by the beginning of the season. On most teams, he would, but there's a weird little history on the Niners that makes you wonder.
Well, the thing about Trent is, and this is for everybody out there, is Trent, they didn't know that Trent had a condition where his body does not respond to certain metals.
It rejected.
And what happened was they put in 4 different screws. Yes. And then when they found out, well, his body is not reacting to these metals, they had to make a special screw that they put in his foot that was not of metal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is, but it's something different. It's not a metal screw. So, you know, Deebo doesn't have that same thing
that we know of, but probably it's a rare thing.
Well, I hope they use the same. I hope they use the
just
same.
To be careful, right?
Correct screw. Just be careful.
Yeah, you know, so you know, I'm just you know, I'm happy that he didn't use the same surgeon. You know what I'm saying? That Deebo did. They'll probably never use that guy. That Trent did. They'll probably never use that guy again.
Oh yeah.
No, I think the issue with Deebo isn't necessarily setbacks; it's conditioning. Like he's missing an important 3 months.
Right.
June to September.
Yeah.
So even if he's like technically healthy by week 1, is he in game shape by week 1?
No.
And so when will it take? Week 4, week 5? But theoretically, even if he misses 4, if he takes a month to get up to speed, the Niners are good enough. I mean, they were 8-0 last year before they got Emmanuel Sanders or whatever. So they should be okay.
Yeah, we should be okay.
But they might, and I wrote an article about it today. They might need to like change their offense a little bit, not just throw in a new starting wide receiver. Yeah,
that's the one where you said a lot of 21 and 22 personnel, right?
22, because they're a 21 personnel team, and it's a great personnel grouping when you got 2 quality wide receivers. But if wide receiver is the weakest position on your offense, which it is right now, I mean, the Niners don't have a legit starting caliber wide receiver, although they have guys who can fulfill roles.
Right.
Then why trot out 2 and 3 wide receivers if you don't have to? You have excellent tight ends, excellent running backs. You know, like what Sean Payton does a lot. He'll put Alvin Kamara in the slot and Latavius Murray in the backfield and run the jet sweep action that way. Could do that with Raheem Mostert. We haven't seen that. There's all kind of new things the Niners could do while Deebo Samuel's out.
Right. Okay. So, with Deebo being out, who do you see stepping up in Deebo's absence?
Yeah, that's the question. I feel like it needs to be a committee.
Big question.
It has to be a committee. Like on first down, you could use Ayuk or Travis Benjamin, depending on what you want. If you want the deep threat on play action, if you want the end around or the screen, those are two good guys. On third down, you might want Trent Taylor. In the red zone, you might want Kendrick Bourne. So I think it could be give each guy a package. I don't think you want to make Brandon Ayuk a full-blown starter week one and say, go play 65 snaps.
I think we have to now.
You might have to. Well, what Belichick would do, he wouldn't fast track a rookie. He would say, well, I got these tight ends, I got these running backs. Let's try 22 personnel. You know, like when they had Welker back in the day, they were a 3 wide receiver offense because he needed to start. And then when they got Aaron Hernandez and Gronk, they became a 2 tight end offense. So he's not married to a scheme, a grouping. Shanahan kind of is. Right. Shanahan's he's a system guy, and his system is 21 personnel. But they used 22 last year and had success with it, and I don't see why they can't just increase the frequency of it. I mean, why do you not want Dwelly, Juszczyk, Kittle, Mostert on the field together when you're a run-first team? Those are some serious play-action passes that you can throw when the defense just smells out to stop the run.
Yeah, and one thing about Belichick is that motherfucker could win a Super Bowl with people. Chris Hogan
with nobodies.
Nobody's.
Bro. Because he finds roles for them. It's not like Chris Hogan's my starting wide receiver. It's like I have a couple of ways I can use this. And maybe other teams wouldn't see it because they're like, well, he's not a starter for me. No, it doesn't matter. Like there is a role for everyone on that team. That's what makes Belichick so good. He doesn't have a scheme.
And that's what Kyle does.
Yeah. Pretty much. And he has that. He has this like poo-poo platter of young wide receivers. Instead of like artificially elevating one to a starting status they haven't earned, use them all. Yeah. Find what they do best and use them all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that
Dante Pettis?
I don't know what he does best. I'm sorry, Dante.
Hey, bro.
I wouldn't put him in the rotation. It would be Trey Taylor, Kendrick Bourne, Brandon Ayuk, and Jalen Hurd. Those 4.
Okay. So do you think that Kyle goes out and signs another wide receiver for depth like Taylor Gabriel?
Is Taylor Gabriel available?
Still available.
That's a really good question. I'm going to say not Taylor because I think he's a lot like Travis Benjamin. Okay. But what I think Shanahan might do is what he did last year at the trade deadline if it's necessary. You know, it wouldn't be Emmanuel Sanders, but you look at the guys who are making 8, 9, 10, 11 million because the Niners only have to pay half of that and are on like the last year of their deals, like Sanders was last year. And the guys I found 3. Keenan Allen, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Stills. I think any of those 3, they're all different, but any of those 3 would be really good. And if the Niners feel they need them, they do have a second-round pick they can trade.
So, okay. So you're saying that those are the 3 guys that you feel would be most likely to be traded for at the trade deadline?
Yeah, they kind of fit the Emmanuel Sanders criteria from last year.
Okay, so with Keenan,
yes, they
just got Justin Herbert.
Yes.
I watched Justin Herbert play when he was at Sherwood High School. It's out here. It's a suburb I live in Beaverton, Oregon. It's a suburb that's like 15 minutes outside of downtown Portland.
Okay.
Sherwood is another suburb that's about 30 minutes outside of Beaverton where I live. Okay. I watched Justin Herbert play in high school.
Okay.
Everybody knew this kid was special. They just got him. Now, do you think that they're going to be more hesitant to trade, somebody like Keenan Allen because, they got the new quarterback, you know what I'm saying, that they just drafted. They weren't bad on offense last year. Do you think that they would be more hesitant or do you think they would say, well, shit, we just got a new quarterback. How about, we get what we can for Keenan Allen and we go draft, another wide receiver next year?
No, that's a great point. And clearly they wouldn't want to trade Keenan Allen right now. They're thinking like you're thinking. They're going to be pretty good. Justin Herbert's going to need Keenan Allen. But what if they're 1-6 at the trade deadline?
There you go.
What if they're 1-6 and they're like, well, Keenan Allen's going to leave anyway. It's not working out this year. Right. Maybe Herbert's not even playing. You know what I mean? Because he didn't have OTAs in minicamp. It could be Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, but I think, I see what you're saying. It's possible that none of those guys will be available. The Lions could be good. They might want Marvin Jones.
Right.
The Texans just traded for Kenny Stills. They might see him as a necessary piece in their offense. So
yeah, they got him last year at the trade deadline. You're right, bro. Yeah.
So I don't know. It might be tough. There may not be any Emmanuel Sanders out there for this year. Maybe they might have to go sign Antonio Brown.
Let's talk about it, damn it.
Let's talk about it.
I was waiting for that.
Hey, look, I am tired of people talking like, bro, you got to look at this. Ray Lewis caught a body. Ray Lewis caught a body, bro, and he stayed in the NFL.
You can't say that on YouTube, man. He's going to come find you, man.
Hey, the sweatsuit.
If he really caught that body, you be careful.
The sweatsuit that he had disappeared, bro.
It did. It did. It really did. It's true. It's true.
NFL. Like Richie Incognito, his father died. He went to the mortician and he told him that he wanted his head to be chopped up. They could study the brain. They told him no. He went back in there with an assault rifle. He's back in the NFL.
Yeah, the teams were like, Richie Incognito lost his way for a second, but he figured it out. That's true. Okay. All right. Look. Okay, let's talk about Antonio Brown because you make a good point. Let's throw out the off the field stuff. Let's just blow it out.
Right.
The reason I think that it's a questionable fit on the 49ers is because the 49ers still are a run first team, and there's always going to be those games where they can run the ball 45 times and win, and they want to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think, as great as Antonio Brown is, I don't think he's exactly a team player. And I don't think he'd be cool being on a team that runs 45 times. I don't think he would be cool with that.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Right.
I think he would complain after a win in that situation. He needs his stats.
Yeah.
He wants to be considered one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, and he's in the conversation. His numbers put him right there. And I don't think he would settle for being on a run first team. But I could be wrong. He doesn't really have many options right now.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have to pick of the litter. He has to go with who's ever going to sign him, and you're not going to get a lot of money, buddy. You're not going to.
You're not.
You might get.
Did you guys watch Hard Knocks last year with the Raiders?
I did. I ain't gonna lie. I did.
Yeah, I did a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're being all patient with him and being.
He didn't
nice.
want to be. It seemed pretty clear from what I saw. He didn't want to be there.
He didn't want to be there. Yeah.
He wanted to go to the Patriots.
But he did. He made that little. He made that video and then he put in Gruden's voice in there. Like, man, so disrespectful, man.
Yeah, man. He
After
had,
all him.
He had.
Here's the way I look at it. Tom Brady loves Antonio Brown. Loves him. Really, really lobbied for him on the Patriots and tried to get them to re-sign him. Bruce Arians coached Antonio Brown, like developed him back in Pittsburgh. The fact that the Bucs haven't signed Brown yet kind of tells you everything you need to know. I don't really get it, but if that organization hasn't signed him, then they would be the one that I would think would sign him. When they signed Brady, I'm like, watch him get Antonio Brown next. Watch. And they didn't. They even Arians came out and said, look, I know Antonio Brown. We're not going down that road. It's like, well, what does that mean? So he must be very hard to work with.
Yeah.
Even though he's a hard worker and a great player, he must be so hard to work with because he's a diva. And you put up with that to an extent, but he's a real diva. And if he doesn't respect Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin, who are two future Hall of Famers, he might not respect anyone.
Right.
Anyone.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Now the Niners are an organization that demands respect. A year ago, they were coming off a 4-win season, and maybe they didn't have that kind of leverage, but maybe Antonio Brown feels like he would want to play for Kyle Shanahan. I don't know. I still think that Jimmy isn't quite the level of quarterback. I feel like Antonio Brown the things he started saying about bumper cars and all this stuff. I don't know. I don't know if I want Antonio Brown around my
you're right,
quarterback like that.
Bro. All right. Okay. So, seeing the guys training in San Jose State and then going to Tennessee, working out together, I was highly encouraged. How do you feel about that? And then you seen Kittle out there. So it's just like, okay, that's a good sign. Like, he's not going to hold out. Like, regardless of what happens, I don't think Kittle's going to hold out. He wouldn't be working out with the team if he was. I think that it was a positive sign to see. How did you feel, besides for the energy, the injuries, how did you feel, seeing all of it was like 13, 14 guys, they all got together and traveled together and went to Tennessee to trade with CJ Beathard, who lives out there, and George Kittle. How did you feel about that, bro?
Right, because everyone's thinking like, is there going to be a Super Bowl hangover? And what the Super Bowl hangover usually is, it's like a prolonged depression followed by blaming.
Right.
It's your fault. It's your fault. With Balky and Harbaugh, that was evident. And what you wonder is the team going to be as unified and driven for success this year as it was last year? And when you see them all coming together in June, when they don't have to, after suffering the hardest loss of their lives, it's a good sign. Absolutely. And the fact that it got shut down prematurely because of COVID doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden pointing fingers and mad at each other. I think they are a very, very tight-knit team in a way that I've never seen. I don't even think Harbaugh teams really were that tight-knit. And it's organic. I think Harbaugh tried to bring everyone together with his will, but these guys really do like each other. I mean, everyone, like you said, everyone loves Jimmy.
Right. They do.
Quarterbacks make $27 million a year are removed from the team. They're like part of the front office. They're CEOs. Yeah. Jimmy's not. He's one of the guys. I'll talk back.
Right. He's just one of the guys, man. And one thing that I like about it, it's not just the starters or the guys that's projected to have the most playing time. You got a guy like Chris Thompson out there, training with the guys. And, there was a report that Chris Thompson is actually a pretty good receiver. Yeah, he's fast as hell, bro.
Did he go to Cal? I think he went to Cal. I don't know. Anyway, he's fast.
He's fast as hell. Yeah, he's fast, bro. So, I was encouraged by seeing, guys that are pretty low on the totem pole that wasn't even on the 53 that was on the practice squad was out there and they're getting better with the guys, man. I was really encouraged to see that, man.
Yeah.
And even the new rookie quarterback, the undrafted guy, Brock Purdy was out there training. When you lose that game, it's like, man, I can't even see you anymore. I can't even look at you. Every time I look at my teammates, I think of our failure, right? Right.
So the fact that they're not at that level is good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Okay, this is another one that Grant he's been pounding his fist on this one, bro. Jamal Adams, to me, he wouldn't change much. And I'm going to tell you why.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
The only thing that we complain about with Kwaski and Jimmy Ward is they don't get interceptions. Right. It's the same thing with Jamal Adams.
Okay.
He's had two.
Okay. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. What I would say real quick is that intercepting the ball is not the only way you can cause turnovers. And this guy does have a grip of forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, sacks, and he had even scored a touchdown last year. No, he didn't have picks, but I don't really follow the Jets that much. And I'd be wondering, is that him or is that how they use him? Is it because they have him blitzing a lot? Because you're not going to pick off passes if you're blitzing and getting 6.5 sacks a season, which is crazy. I mean, it's the same amount. That's almost as much as Buckner had last year. Yeah. So, I hear what you're saying. He's not a free safety ball hawk. But as a strong safety, you can use him in a lot of ways. Wow. And I don't think the Niners – I said this morning on Twitter, he'd be the best safety they've had since Ronnie Lott. He's different than Burton Hanks. Burton Hanks had an interception season. He's a free safety. I think he'd be the best strong safety the Niners have had in a very long time.
Okay. And so what trade package would you put together? Because there was an article that was released. Hold on. It was an article that was released 53 minutes ago. No, I'm wrong. 5 hours ago. And it says, Jets reporter says it would take at the least a first rounder if you want to trade for Jamal Adams. Right. And it said the Niners wanted to trade for Jamal Adams. He didn't say if anybody. He said if the Niners wanted to trade for Jamal Adams, it would take a first rounder.
Trade the first round pick. I mean, come on. Where the Niners are going to be picking next year, probably in the 20s, late 20s. There's not going to be any player as good as Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams was the 6th pick in the draft, and he's exceeded expectations. He's missed 2 games in 3 seasons.
That's true.
He's not like Kittle, man. I mean, he's an all-pro. He's 24 years old. Trade the first-round pick. If you got to trade a player with him, trade Tart with him. Nothing against Tart. Tart's a solid player.
Right.
But you get Adams, that's the leader of your secondary for the next 7-8 years. And the other thing, if you don't get Adams, he might go to the Seahawks. He might go to the Cardinals.
Right.
And I don't think the gap between the Niners and the Seahawks is so big that Adams couldn't tip the scales.
That's huge. Yeah, the gap between us and the Seahawks is so huge, bro. Their linebacker.
It wasn't when they played each other head to head. Those games came down to the wire.
Yeah, but if man, I think we're
for whatever reason, the Seahawks play the Niners tough, even though the Seahawks have all these weaknesses. The Niners don't.
Everybody, like, yeah.
All right, so let's go from position to position. Okay, so you got quarterback. Okay, they got us there. Running back, we're kicking their ass. Fullback, we're kicking their ass. I don't even know if they got a fullback. Tight end, we killing them. Offensive line, our offensive line. I feel like we're in top 5 in the NFL right now. Offensive lines,
right?
To add Brunskill at guard, and then have
wide receiver. I'd give it to Seattle.
Huh?
Wide receiver, I'd give to Seattle.
Yeah. Okay.
And a D line is the Niners. Linebackers, the Niners. Secondary is Seattle. But the reason
hold up,
I would say so. I would say so.
They have Shaquille Griffin. Did you see what Deebo did to that boy last year?
Well, Deebo's pretty good, dude. But the thing about Shaquille Griffin is he can actually play some man coverage. He's not the best, but he's pretty good, dude.
What safety do they have that's good as Jimmy?
Diggs is pretty good. He actually does intercept passes. How many picks did he have last year? 4, 5,
3. I think it was
3 in like 5 games with the Seahawks. Anyway, so the Niners have more good position groups than the Seahawks, but for whatever reason, and I know the reason, when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame head coach, that gets you pretty far. Right. I mean, look at the Patriots. The Patriots had a pretty bad team the last 10 years, but they always had Brady and Belichick, so it didn't really matter. That's kind of the Seahawks too. So yeah, the Niners are better, but I feel like the Seahawks are always like better than the sum of their parts because they're strong in the 2 most important places.
Right.
And the Niners are inexperienced in the 2 most important places, but very talented.
Okay. All right. So what do you think the chances are of John Lynch making that call and getting Jamal Adams?
If I was John Lynch, I wouldn't pick up the phone until they extended my contract. You want me to trade for Jamal Adams?
Oh,
lock me up. Throw away the key. Why are you not extending my contract? Yeah, I would love to trade for Jamal Adams, but you're going to need to make it worth my while. What? I mean, how can the Niners expect him to be doing his job while he's waiting for them?
Hey, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying.
That's a good one. But I heard, Dre, didn't you say it was 17? He's asking for 17 million a year.
Okay, I was just talking.
Adams. Can we afford that?
Yeah, isn't the reason he wants out of New York that he wants a new contract right now? Look, the 7 teams he listed are all good teams, which to me means he wants to win. I think he's using this contract thing as a way to get out of New York.
Right.
He'll say anything.
You know what? You're right, bro, because he did. There was a report that came out that said specifically if he's traded to one of the teams he wants to go to, he will not ask for a contract extension automatically.
He's just getting himself out of New York. I don't blame him. He comes to the Niners. He's not going to hold out. He's going to thank Jesus Christ that he got out of New York and he's on a good team, and he'll make it work. He'll prove himself to the Niners, and in 2022, when he's a free agent, the salary cap will be like $45 million higher than it is now, and it won't be an issue by then.
Exactly, and then we'll have two LSU boys. We'll have Quan and Jamal. That would be nice.
Quan, I forgot. I was talking to a guy, and someone was saying, think about the LSU players in the league, because Jamal Adams is going to reach out to each one and be like, "Yo, talk to your head coach, talk to your GM, tell him I should be there." And I was thinking, do the Niners have an LSU guy? And off the top of my head, I couldn't think of one. Quan. Jamal's going to call Quan. They're like the same age. Yeah. Like, bro, talk to Salah, talk to Kyle, talk to John, see what's up.
Yep.
So you already know how that's going.
Okay, this is another subject I want to get into. Trent Williams, he tagged Jamal Adams when he was signing the contract.
I saw that.
How do you think Jaquaski Tart feels about that? He's not like good.
Trent, not good. I'll tell you how Jaquaski Tart feels about it. I wrote an article yesterday morning saying, should the 49ers trade a first-round pick in Jaquaski Tart to the Jets for Jamal Adams? He retweeted that tweet in like 10 minutes. 10 minutes. He's very sensitive about this stuff, man. And I probably would be too if I were him. But he said, even if you go back to 2017, when people were 2018 when people were saying, hey, the Niners should draft Derwin James, he would respond to fans on Twitter being like, what are you talking about? We have a strong safety. It's like, dude, you're being a little sensitive, Jaquaski. Like, yeah, you're good, but this is the NFL and teams are allowed to want to upgrade. I mean, it's not personal. It's not personal.
Do you think that this creates a rift between Trent Williams and Jaquaski Tartt? Because he's like,
Yes.
bro, you just got
They don't
here.
even know each other yet.
He's like, bro, you just got here, bro. And
that's the perfect time, though, because they don't have no rapport yet.
Right. But I guarantee
you know
Trent Williams already has higher standing in the locker room than Tartt does.
No, guaranteed.
So I don't think Trent Williams is really tripping. And the fact that Trent Williams put that tag on his Instagram post, he didn't do that out of the blue. You know what I'm saying? He knows. He didn't do it out of the blue. There must be something going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. Conversations. It must. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm guessing that it's starting to look like a possibility around that organization.
Ew.
Oh man,
y'all heard it here today with Grant Cohn and Niners all day.
Let me tell you. So yesterday I wrote that article saying, should the Niners sign trade for Adams? And I was kind of like, I don't think it's going to happen. I get a call from a guy who'd been in the league a long time being like, dude, what are you talking about? Hell yes, the 49ers should trade for Adams. So I'm like, okay. So I write that. I'm like, you make a good point. Then the next morning I get a DM from an agent being like, dude, do you know Adams? He's a turd. You do not want him in that locker room. He would not mesh with that. So I'm like, man, I'm getting really
that's not
like
good.
I'm getting conflicting information. I don't know if he's a turd or not. I don't know what he's like at all. He seems like a hell of a player and a leader. I'd take him. I'd go for him.
Man,
but that's what I heard.
Adams there.
I heard.
So you heard that you heard
that he's a me guy that doesn't fit in well with the team. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh man, yeah.
It might be different though. It might be different when he comes to the Niners locker.
He might just be one of these LSU guys who can't stand losing. I mean, it seems like that's what Odell Beckham is like.
Yeah, man. Quan will set him straight.
It's one thing about bad locker room guys, bro. They very seldomly change just because you winning, bro.
It's true. Hey, same thing applies to Antonio Brown. Same thing.
Right. Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, we got to get Iggy out of here.
I got to go to Napa. My wife is
going to Napa. You know what I'm saying? Bro, we appreciate you coming on.
I love this show, man. Anytime. You guys are great.
Bro. Yeah, man. Shout out to you, bro. I hope you have a good time in Napa, bro. Enjoy your Saturday, bro.
Hope you don't get COVID. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Wear your mask, bro.
I will, for sure. Yeah.
All right.
All right, man. Have a good rest of the show.
All right, peace.
All right. Peace.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
That's what we do over here on Niners all day, man. We just drop bombs. You know what I'm saying? With the top quality info, man. That's all we do is drop bombs. So
getting me excited, man. Yeah. Oh, real quick.
You froze up.
Oh man, really?
You got it.
All right, I gotta go. Got work called in, so we're gonna do the giveaway drawing next week.
Yeah, we're gonna do the giveaway drawing next week. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Press that bell notification. Also, we're doing another show in 1 hour. We got Tony from the Niners coming on in 1 hour at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 Atlantic. So you guys make sure y'all holler back. You know what I'm saying? Go get your brew. You know what I'm saying? Go get your Terrell Owens popcorn. You know what I'm saying? Even if you got to roll one up and chill, I don't care what you do, what the price is, baby. Just make sure you're back to holler at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Brian's got some work to do. You know what I'm saying? I was going to shut it down, but bro told me to just go ahead and do the show. And he's going to be doing some work. And, we'll be back with you guys, man, in the next hour.
All right. Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace out.